It's our culture, our community, where tech and capitalism meet. This is Cap Culture. No cap.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cap Culture Podcast. We are here talking about our culture, our community, a little capitalism, a little tech sprinkled in there. I am Janae Butler, but please call me JB or Janae the Great. Either one is acceptable. To my left, I have Jeff, aka
J-Dub, aka a whole bunch of other stuff.
A whole bunch of other
stuff. We don't got time. We keep the episode short and sweet.
They're just getting to know.
And to my right, I have
Brandon, aka B Mills, at that guy B Mills.
Right, but y'all seen us before. Y'all heard our voices. Y'all know who we are. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So this episode 2, numero dos, right?
Are you lit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we all on the same page.
100%. This episode we are talking about cultural capital, and with that we're going to sprinkle a little tech into that, and like I said earlier, a little capitalism, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of perspective, especially what comes down to Jay-Z, Beyonce, Meek Mills, Chamillionaire, whoever else we want to throw in there based off of the most recent news. So yeah, let's just get straight into it.
I thought that was going to be the moment where, Jeff, started playing Beyonce, because that's all we've been listening to for the past 2 hours.
I swear.
You missed your cue. You missed your cue, dog.
I never just this.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
It's all good.
I'm going to still play it anyway.
I told you he was going to play it.
I was going to play it. Look, I'm a Beyonce stan now. I don't know how this changed.
And I feel like we should just open the conversation up. What? He's a stan.
Hey, look. Hey,
Beyonce,
boys love
if
Beyonce.
You're watching.
Drake said girls love Beyonce. Boys love Beyonce now, too. She represents everything, bro.
Beyonce, if you're watching, you got your next biggest fan right here.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm fresh off a weekend where I got to experience The Lion King. And The Lion King was incredible just because of how much it meant to me. But then
you had Lion King tatted on you.
I got it tatted on me.
That's how you know it's real.
It's real.
My bad. I'm gonna stop interrupting.
He loves you.
I do, but it's just so Lion King, and then all of a sudden, I didn't know. I haven't been paying attention. Work been kicking my ass. You said what?
Hit the music so I can hear you. I just want to.
She said she can't hear you over Beyonce.
I don't know. I mean, shit. Her voice is more important than mine. But fresh off experiencing Lion King, work has been kicking my ass, so I really haven't even been focused on that. Right? I haven't been focused on all these little trends essentially this past couple weeks, so I didn't even know that she was dropping the gift.
Right.
And then she drops the gift, and it's incredible.
It's phenomenal, right?
It literally Lion King, you have the '94 version, which is what everybody we all grew attached to. But I feel like this time around, when they did this remake and they put Beyonce, Childish Gambino, and all these new faces in it.
Childish, I'm such a fan.
Yeah, it's you're remaking. It's already a risk because you're remaking a classic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like this version met us where we are today, dang near, in our late 20s and stuff like that. And
late
20s. You know what I mean? We're there. But then you add Beyonce and this gift album, and it brings Lion King to life, in a whole new way. Yeah. Right, and I think when we're talking about what we're discussing today, it's truly about the value of our culture as it pertains to capitalism, in media and tech and everything, and really we give stuff a second win.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
It's funny though, when you thought about it, before I even months ago when I found out Beyonce was in it, whenever that news broke, my first thought was all right, is this a stunt? Is this a gimmick? Why did they choose Beyonce? Is this just to increase sales?
Yeah.
And I think that feeds into the conversation that we're going to be having today, just kind of talking about the use of culture to bring life to new things, like you just said. And we've seen, over the past few months, Beyonce's making moves. We talk about her Adidas deal. We talk about what she was doing with, Netflix and her Coachella performance, and just, how she is creating new ways of adding value and adding ROI to herself and her personal brand, but also the culture. And I think we're just starting to catch wind of like a lot of the things that she's been doing behind the scenes for years.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
kind of what we wanted to talk about today.
Like literally everything that we talk about in our day jobs, right?
Yeah.
As far as like technology goes, like data and the value of like consumption, like I don't know who's on her team or if it's just her.
They need a raise.
But
Give them a corner office.
Like they're hitting every chord.
They got a corner office. They got everything they want.
Yeah, I mean they're hitting every chord, and and this episode isn't just about Beyonce, but it's just like a reflection that she's really leading the charge right now with like someone that's like putting or a brand like within our culture that's really putting everything together and touching many facets. From the Disney, from the film to the Netflix documentary, the new strategic partnership with Adidas, like it's all coming full circle, and you're seeing the value that we provide to corporations. And our objective here is really just to talk about how we can own that and we can ensure our stake in that. And then how we, whether on a local level, as late 20-somethings who's trying to build our own brands, or the black startups, like what does that look like for us?
Right.
How can we, take those high level lessons that the Billy Goat, Beyonce, and Jay-Z is, incorporating into their stuff? How can we put it at our level so that one day we can also scale our businesses and our visions and our brands?
Right.
So one question I have though, I want to bring back like what I started with was. Like I didn't know if Disney chose Beyonce because of her amazing. Let me not.
That's what I want to know. Like
Beyonce is talented. Like I'm just gonna put that out there right now. So like
Beyonce, you're
Beehive,
talented.
like
she's
don't
talented.
come for me. But
like I see why there's a Beehive. Like I got one foot in the Beehive right now. Like I'm literally like sliding over there.
So why did Disney choose Beyonce to play that character? Is it because she has when I see the previews, so like just to reel it back, when I see the previews, I'm like, okay, Nala is Beyonce. Like it sounds like Beyonce.
Yeah.
Simba sounds like Childish Gambino. It's not. It's kind of like hard to contextualize it in the '94 version of Lion King.
Right.
Exactly.
So why do you think that they chose such an iconic voice for that?
And people like give her shade because they say Beyonce can't necessarily act or whatever, like as much or as good. But when I think back to the '94 version of Lion King, like Nala was there to like uplift and like make Simba know who he is, right? To like bring him back to the culture. That was his best friend. That was the love of his life before he even knew what love is. Damn, I'm really making these lions like seem like adults. Like
it's a real life translation.
Yeah. So when you going off of that lens, I think back to this lyric about Beyonce talking about how like she gives things life. And the reality is, maybe she's not the greatest actor, but what she means for the culture, like if we're saying like in 2019, we're going to put out a new version of The Lion King and we needed to have its own life, right? And in a way that us adults who were kids back then could process this in a new way, and then like these kids today can see a live action version of it, right? Because everybody wants to go to the zoo. Yeah. Then you got the zoo on screen, right? Like how can we bring those two audiences together? Beyonce is literally like the perfect person to do that, right? She does give her audience life. She does we talk about her aura all the time, like in different things. So
you mentioned her aura before.
Yeah,
you saw her in concert.
I saw her in concert. It's like an alien. Truly like you look better than Beyonce, Alicia Keys, whatever Kendrick said. Like it's true. So I don't think it's such a stretch, right? And what she means to our culture right now, like who better to be Nala than Beyonce? I can't even see anybody else playing it.
So for me,
that's wow.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet. So
I haven't either.
So I'm very much like pragmatic with things, and so in my head I'm like, Disney chose Beyonce for this character, so it's like Beyonce's Lion King. It increases like the capitalistic value and the ROI of the film. It's going to draw people out. It's going to draw the culture out. It's going to have the Black Panther effect. Yeah. But what I heard from you is that your perspective is, and don't let me put words in your mouth, that Beyonce represents something. So Disney went and looked for something of that culture that represents what Nala represented and sourced that to fit it into the puzzle.
Absolutely. And Exactly, because it's one thing, and when we talk about, even brands with sponsorships, and I think about like Michael Jordan and Nike and what that grew into. Like we've seen partnerships like that work, and we've seen them like fail, and many times it's like you have this celebrity and they are partnering with the brand to sell something that's not authentic to them.
Yeah.
Like Lion King represents Africa. It represents like our culture, the roots, Mother Nature. When you think about like mother, you know what I'm saying? When you think of those things, Beyonce is someone that reflects with that. What is the idea or the vision that they wanted to sell with this version of Lion King? And it was to pay homage to Africa. It was to uplift our community and empower us. And right now, Beyonce is really like on par, on cue with that. So just like Michael Jordan, you know, being like Mike, that whole idea, right? More than an athlete. With LeBron James, like he is more than an athlete, and he's been able to sell that in various ways. So that's bringing authenticity to this partnership.
Do you feel Beyonce is trying to take on like a Michael Jordan like type of direction, like how he was able to take his partnership with Nike and then like turn it into something so
so like you're talking about with Adidas.
Yeah, like is she trying to do? Do you think she's trying to do the same thing, or like that's a part of her business strategy?
Yeah, when you think about her past moves, and people are teasing, you know, some of my people back home in Indianapolis, they talk about like, dang, like she keeps like not putting out a true album. Right, or Jay-Z, how Jay-Z, every time Jay-Z drops an album, it's like...
They're making so many business moves.
Yeah, it's a business move attached to it.
Yeah.
When I think about Beyonce, to your point, like, Beyonce is now aware that she's bigger, like, she knows. She's bigger than music. Yeah. Right, like,
way bigger.
And money is no longer an object. So when I think about, like, the messaging behind everything she's done, bringing HBCU culture to...
Yeah,
Coachella?
For Coachella, she made like 200. Wait, I'm sorry, not even 250. She made like 3 million, 5 million a night.
That's wild.
And that's just what she did, right? So it's bigger than that. It's she knows, she's very aware of like what she means and like what we need to see. So it's bigger than money.
She's huge.
So I'm bigger than music, right? So like what I'm doing, whatever partnership that I'm, you know, getting into,
she's leveraging it to tell part of the story or part of the culture.
Or
like I'm thinking about I'm thinking about her Super Bowl performance when she did Formation, and like how that was kind of like alluding to like what was going on with like police brutality at the time, and that whole moment. Coachella was HBCU culture. Once you like, if you see her video for Spirit, like you'll see she's paying homage to like Yoruba culture and like the Orisha gods. So like she's always telling a story, which I think is like part of one of the things that we're gonna hit on at the end of this episode as like a takeaway. But you brought up Jay-Z, so I want to kind of like transition. Beyonce getting like she's getting a lot of the shine. So let's slide into Jay-Z.
Husband. Let's talk about her husband.
We'll transition.
The first billionaire rapper. Ugh, my God, like he has all kind of things going on in his life right now. Like outside of whatever Beyonce's doing, with a music catalog that's worth $75 million. Like he has so many things. His champagne. Bottle, which is Cristal, which is worth $310 million.
Well, it's Armand now. It's
Armand.
It's Ace of Spades. But it started off with Cristal.
It started off with Cristal. Yeah. He has Douce, which is $100 million. He has did y'all know he has $70 million invested in Uber? That started off as $2 million in 2013. My God, like. And then on top of that, he has his art collection, which is worth 4.5. Yes, 4.5 million. And then, like anybody who knows anything about wealth, real estate, of course, which is worth like 50 million. So like he's out here just bringing in these steady checks.
But so my question for you guys is like, what is your perspective on how? Like he was a drug dealer at one point.
Yeah. How? Like
how did he leverage what he built or like what he learned?
I want to believe he's a sponge. Like I want to believe he's a sponge and he realized that capability like early on, and he started to surround himself around people like-minded people who he wanted to be like when he was older. It's what I want to believe. I truly don't know, but like
rap game, dope game, not much different, you know. That's what Drake said, and. The key to his success is truly like taking what he learned from the streets and like you said, taking a mentorship. He was like, okay, cool. It's like
taking his
those mentors probably like broke stuff down to him like in a way that he could like process it. And he's like, oh, so arbitrage. Oh, it's like flipping something. It's like taking this, buying it up, building it up, talking about it, like Crystal, whatever, sell it off. Now I went from 10 to 20. And now I take this 20 and I reinvest it and I flip it into something else.
I can't recall that. You got a line.
He talks about that. So I think that's the idea, and we just know, like, through our culture, we've had so many times where out of despair we've had to like make something out of nothing. And I think that there's a grit behind that, and that's a part of his success. It's the grit. It's that idea and being able to translate the business nomenclature into something that really reflects and it's relatable, and then taking off from there. Because I mean that's ultimately like what he's done, and then it just gets bigger and bigger. Yeah. So you go from like a partnership with the Samsung, right, to drop.
That's what I wanted to hit on too.
Carta Holy Grail.
Around that like Magna Carta, I can't even remember what year it was that it came out. 2013.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like one of the pivotal moments where he realized that, okay, I've developed this persona, I've developed this clout, I've developed kind of this knowledge, like I have a value attached to my name.
Yeah.
And that's when he started to like really start dropping like name brands, and he was getting like equity deals. Like think about Tom Ford, think about like what he was doing with Samsung when he's shouting out his Picasso baby with his music collection or his art collection. Like that's kind of the pivotal point where he like proved his worth. And then like this is where I think the takeaway is, like he took the time to scale his worth and scale his value. And then he said, okay, now that I am valuable, I can be part of that equation to make more money. Like, absolutely. I can name drop Tom Ford and put Tom Ford on a song. You think he's getting money from Tom Ford? Absolutely. Like, he's made.
If anybody says no, like, no. Like, and let's just say he isn't. Mm-hmm. After he does that, now he can go to the negotiation table with someone like that and say,
look how many people are saying your name.
Since I've said it, y'all know, my business partners know. We know how this goes. We monitored it. We monitored it by the way off of not just the sales, but the way in which people are engaging with Tom Ford on social media.
That makes me. I'm completely changing topics real quick, but that reminds me of a discussion that we had in the group chat about who's the owner of Louis Vuitton.
Bernard Arnault.
Yes. Yeah. So when you think about how he's worth $100 billion now, or whatever, 10 billion, 100 billion,
$100 billion,
a lot of money.
But like, all of his brands are what we hear in rap songs. It's like what the culture, like,
everything that we drop.
No, that's crazy.
He loves Hennessy. He owns Hennessy.
He owns everything.
Like his brand. Like I didn't know about the Sephora thing until until the Rihanna thing. That's when I like came privy to the fact that he had a partnership with them. Like that's a part of his portfolio.
Listen, that conglomerate is like the impact is crazy. Like. It's beyond Louis V. Like, I had no idea that Louis Vuitton owned Hennessy and Sephora and, like, all these other...
Well, that's what they do, right? Like, it's truly arbitrage. It happens in CPG, right? Like, Kraft Heinz portfolio. It used to be Kraft. They had Mondelez, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so then it's like,
What is that for someone who knows nothing?
Perfect example, I use Campbell Soup. So Campbell is a conglomerate, right? Yeah. It started out as a soup thing. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, like shelf-stable soup, so soup that you can buy in the grocery store and everything, it's no longer like gaining sales. Mm-hmm. So what did they go out there and do? They was like, all right, how can I hedge my bet against this, right? Because people aren't going to like just run away from it. But if this is declining or it's kind of like soft, let me go find something emerging or something more profitable right now that's driving growth and really driving growth, and let me acquire that. Mm-hmm. Right, so then they've got like the kettle brand chips, which is now in the organic thing, right? So now they're jumping into snacks.
Campbell?
Yeah, Campbell Soup owns. Yeah, they own kettle chips.
And I think we see that in every industry.
Though. Yeah, it's in every industry. So then it shouldn't be, you're right. So like when you think back to Barton, like his portfolio, or Bernard and his portfolio with like Louis Vuitton and Hennessy, like that's all they're doing, right? So they're taking these different portfolios of brands, they're seeing it and trying to like boost that up to like hedge their bets, but then also to see sustainable growth. And right now, the makeup and beauty industry really is like so pivotal, especially now as it's incorporating technology into it. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense why that's a part of their portfolio. Mm-hmm.
So how can we make this like relatable though? So if I'm a startup, or if I'm a cultural influencer, ambassador, or something like that, and I'm starting to see like the trends of like Jay-Z proved his worth, and then he started leveraging his personal value.
Sure.
If I know the trends of acquisitions around what's profitable and what's driving sales.
Sure.
and we know that culture drives everything. What should I be doing as a minority business, a minority startup, or a cultural ambassador? Like, what can I be doing?
Man, I got a couple things that come to mind. Number one, I'd say whatever you do, and I mean, I guess this is a sneak shout out to Be Great, but like your brand, but it just be authentic. Like number one, like we come to the table so often, especially as like black people or minorities or women, where we're just look at you. Go
ahead, get your drink. Shout out to the kid.
Yeah, shout out to the kid.
Yeah.
But we come like it's that duality, right? Like, and we don't always come as our full authentic self. And when we look around us, like these celebrities are showing us that our full authentic selves is enough, right? So
it's actually the most important piece of the
what's
puzzle.
moving it, right? It's moving the culture.
Yeah.
So be confident, be authentic in who you are, right?
Yeah.
So that's the foundation of all of it, right? And then two, if you're a brand or a startup, like you have to, so after it's authentic, it's about like knowing where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So have that identity as well, right? Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on it though? Like, so number one, you're authentic, you embrace who you are fully, holistically, and then two, it's like whatever my product is, whatever my service is, I'm very aware of what that is and where it's going or where I want it to go.
Yeah. I agree, and I think what I'm about to say like really aligns with what you said. But like finding your niche, like knowing that, I feel like, and this is a lesson that I learned, you can't be everything to everybody.
No.
Like some people like will go to the negotiation table, whether that's like a true like partnership negotiation or like whatever it is, saying, oh, I can serve this community, I can do this, and then I'm that. Oh, you want me to talk like this? Okay, I can do that too. You want me to dress like that? I can do that too. And like, that is diluting the culture. Like, that's not leveraging the culture, that's diluting the culture. That's you saying that you can be everything for everybody,
and you can't.
And that's where you can't. Like, that's where you're destined to fail. Mm-hmm. So it's just like finding what your niche is and like knowing, like, this is what I represent, this is who I am. Let me find, I think I used the puzzle metaphor before. I'm a piece to a puzzle. I don't know whose puzzle I'm a piece to, but let me figure that out and find the right fit rather than like trying to force myself into the wrong spot.
Yeah. So figure out who your audience is, who your niche is. So like what my product is or my service offering, who does that appeal to? So going off of that, then it's probably important for you to, like people say like the technical terms like, oh, do this market research. Or like, nah, in the hood or wherever, you're going to say, look, I keep my ear to the streets. Yeah. So it's really like figuring out what consumers within that purchases this product or attends this event or like buys this whatever, like what's moving them? What's driving them to make a decision, right? Or if it's a partnership with the brand, it's like, all right, what problem are they trying to solve right now?
Yeah.
Right? So, and how does my product fit that problem? Like it offers a solution.
But I want to add in there, like all of this is very true, but in order to do all of this, you need to also surround yourself around these type of people. So like you need to be able to like take yourself out into these events, into these opportunities that will allow you to network with like-minded people who work in that space. So like if you go to like corporate events and stuff like that, so like in my space, I work in a corporate America, and so like we host events all the time where we invite like-minded people to come and network and, have a good time and discuss whatever the topic is of the time. But we also invite the local community out there to do it as well, because we know that they need that exposure to see what they need to work on and identify their own challenges so that they can be ready to present at the table when the time comes,
right?
Yeah, like if you're not in front of the people that you want to be like and the people that you're trying to like, meet and go past or surpass, then I feel like all of this is almost in vain. Like you don't have much of a substance behind what you're trying to accomplish if you don't have that exposure to the people and the resources that you're trying to obtain.
You guys want? No, you got.
I was gonna say.
I got some.
You're like I got him fired up.
You did, because you got me somebody on my mind right now.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna relate it to something that we had also talked about, like when we be talking in the group chat. You said surrounding yourself with like-minded people. We're talking about finding your niche, which reminded me of kind of like the Meek Mill
That's what I was
about to say. I was like, I see the wheels coming.
Yeah.
So I'll say we might not be saying the same thing, but I think for one, Lids is a declining. Like it was just their sales were declining because folks are shopping on Amazon and they're not going to the Lids, anymore.
We're buying local stuff. We're using
local,
our hat to represent something else outside.
Exactly. So that was a declining market, but Meek Mill is known for wearing his fitteds, and like that's a space that he's in authentically. Chance the Rapper is also an ambassador for Lids now.
Right.
He always has like the cap on his head.
Yeah.
So it's the right fit. So they found the right fit, but then, and I'm gonna butcher this story, and I don't know the details. I'm an article skimmer. I don't read all the details. So if I misspeak, then we'll clear it up.
We'll clear it up in the cap takes.
But I think that Meek Mill found. Like he got the ownership position or whatever that deal with Lids
I'm about to look that up.
because of his partner who was involved with Fanatics, and I don't remember his name, but we can look that up. So he got brought to the table by one of his other business partners that was in the Fanatics business, which owns Lids. So he was with the right people. He was the right fit. And that now he can leverage that partnership and what he owns to scale that business.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's right, and if it's not right,
even if it isn't, what I will say is, like Janae was talking about, the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. Mm-hmm. I've listened to a couple podcasts or like interviews with me, and or Michael Rubin, so the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, he was on Breakfast Club or Hot 97 or something, I don't know. Well, they talked about like Meek. It came out of Meek's mouth. He said, "Look, shit, I be asking questions."
Yeah.
Like, I get on these jots or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm a hood dude from the Philly.
We have to ask
questions. We have to, right?
Because we get into these situations.
We want to be yes man all the time. Yes, I can do that. Yes. I don't know what that is.
We so afraid to sound
line.
Yes.
I'll take that.
Every time.
Or we just afraid to sound ignorant. Yeah. And it's like him, dude, roll fucking dirt bikes and shit, through Philly. Through Philly. Bro, he's just asking questions. It's like, when we ask questions, so we can add that to the cap take. Yeah. Legit, ask questions, man. We don't have to have the answers to everything.
Yes.
But Meek asks questions. He's sitting on this private jet with Michael Rubin.
There's so much power
meeting with
curiosity.
There's power in that.
Ooh,
There's power.
Come on, tequila.
Go crazy.
Go crazy.
Yeah, go crazy. But that's a part of it. So you gotta ask the right question. I think Meek has done that, and he's surrounded himself with people who are where he wants to go.
Yeah. I think that's what makes him stand out. I think that's what makes him stand out.
So it shouldn't be a surprise, right? Like once we saw him get closer with Jay-Z, once we saw him really getting close with Robert Kraft or Michael Rubin. It was inevitable that he was going to make a business play and was going to see himself as more than just a rapper, but as a representative of our culture that then could not only push product, but then also get his dreams out by connecting these things with his purpose.
I think we got to get out of the narrative of whatever stereotypical views other people of non-POC have of us, because I feel like that hinders us. Come
on, tequila. Talk to him.
It prevents us from asking the questions that we really want to ask, because in fear of fitting a stereotypical norm that someone may perceive of us. But if we genuinely need to know in order for us to create some sort of competitive advantage with our business, we need to ask these questions, and we need to be confident about it. Don't say it and be shy about it. Be loud about it.
We have an interesting history with brands and businesses, so I get some of our insecurities there. So it's definitely important to ensure that we're screening the people in which we're asking these questions of, but we got to be confident when we do that and allow, without getting too spiritual, allow our superpower, our discernment and things behind the surface to really guide us in that. Because even if we get burned one time, it's still a lesson, and someone's gonna see that and reveal themselves to us in a way that we can kind of magnify that and get to a place where we can do it. But if we're not trying, then it's over, right? It's people from the crib, I know for a fact are sitting on gold mines, but it's an I got it mentality. It's an I got it, and what when you've had success with Be Great, you know, from your dad, from just people, you're not afraid to ask questions. And I think a part of that is help propel you, right? Like, you give me an inch, I'm going to take that mug a mile. You know what I mean? I didn't wake up and just say, oh, I'm about to throw a gala, or, oh, I'm going to do this. Like, no, I didn't. Like, it came from somewhere, and I wasn't afraid to ask people for help. And I think we have to be comfortable with that and also confident in what we bring to the table when we do that. What we used to say in sales, especially, you know, my background in sales was, you know, one of my favorite, like, sales coaches, he would say, you know, establish equal business rapport. And what he meant by that is, like, yeah, you have a service that you have to offer them, but they also have a need. Yeah. Whether you're 22, whether you're black, whether you're a woman, whatever you are.
It has to be, I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Right.
You cannot be like, how can you help me? It has to be, how can we help each other? Yeah. Like,
your product still got to get to China. How you gonna get them? I got ships, I got planes.
Every time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm going to add, I was about to summarize what we talked about. We'll summarize at the end. But I think there's like two things that we didn't hit on that I wanted to hit on. One, talking about like what Jay-Z's done, because we kind of
Jay-Z's
I made a left instead of making a right.
I gotta call him Billy Goat now. He's the goat and he's worth a Billy. Billy Goat. We're calling Jay the Billy Goat.
Hashtag that.
Hashtag Billy Goat. That's on me.
That's on me.
I know y'all be out there, and I know y'all like taking my shit. Look, this one's ours. Billy Goat.
What I respect about him and what he did with Ace of Spades is he played the long game and he didn't compromise his values. So remember, I came in. Wow. It's Sunday. It's unicorn on Sunday. So, but like when you think about the history of like Jay-Z's use of champagne, he started off with Cristal. Remember the Cristal bottles that used to be in the videos, and then when the owner of Cristal came out that he was like racist and he was making those statements, JC said, nah, fuck that. Like we're not doing that no more.
I love the unapologeticness.
Yeah, he just cut it.
Unapologeticness is what sells.
I'm gonna say this and then you can continue, but like it just reminds me of like one of the most powerful lines from 444, and he was like in Family Feud. Yeah, he was like, "Shit, I'd be damned if I drink some Belvedere when Puff got some rock."
Exactly.
It's so cold. It means so much.
But he knew what he was worth and what he represented, and he wasn't gonna let the ownership of that brand partnership dictate that or compromise
because we move it.
Exactly.
Belvedere only claps.
That's culture.
Belvedere only slaps because black people were like producing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, let's be real. Like, white people, like, I love white people just like I love all people, but at the end of the day, like, black people, like, we communicate in a different way. When we love something, we get behind that shit. Like, we post it, everywhere.
How much we pay for bottles in the club?
I don't want to talk.
I don't want to talk about
it. Like we
10 times the actual value of wholesale.
We will spend an astronomical amount of money. I struggle to get that one out.
Yeah. Astronomical.
But yeah, thank you.
Pluto. All right, future
tequila. But so that was one piece that I definitely respect.
Yeah.
And he didn't let a bag determine like
Bro,
what he was gonna represent and what he was gonna slap on. Like
when you think about negotiations.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to walk.
What did Beyonce do?
Don't be afraid to walk.
She walked.
She walked for
Reebok.
She walked for Nike.
You have to be confident in who you are, like what your brand is. Like if you're gonna bring something to the table, bring the whole thing to the table. Don't have.
We are a culture. Nothing moves without us. So what that means is,
and that's what you have to keep in mind.
Cristal said, "I am a racist."
That's basically what they said. That's what they said.
Cristal was like, "I am a racist." Yep. What did JC say? All right, bet. Mm-hmm. And then what happens?
Exactly. That's the same thing with Cap and Nike. Cap said, "No, we don't. That flag on the shoe.
It's kind of.
I'm not gonna be the face. I'm not gonna be the face of your brand if that's what you're gonna put on your shoe."
No.
What did Nike do?
It's time.
They tossed all the product that they invested in.
But then they the revenue that they've made since then though, like it went up tremendously.
Oh, numbers
don't lie.
Yeah, like I would.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I know there's white supremacists that, feel whatever they feel and, they wear Nikes, but they don't consume Nike the same way that we are. Yeah. And I think what that shows is that by him making a stand with the market, without getting too nerdy, what the market is suggesting now is they finally get that the people who are more woke socially are buying more products.
What
So
does
when
that
something like that
mean?
happens,
But that's what
Yeah,
that's
so
what the
basically
studies show
what
though
is-
too.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
our generation.
What does that mean to be woke though? Like
I get what you're saying. So it's like if you offend someone that's a minority or anything, right? Like what the market is suggesting now is that those people, if that brand represents them, then they're not gonna buy it as much.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you throw out support and you declare support, people are gonna take more pride in that, and then they're gonna encourage other people to take pride in that. And then what happens is we're gonna buy more of that. So in the cap thing. What you're seeing is their audience, the people who over-index and are spending the most on Nike on a regular basis are by default more socially conscious. Like when you think about sports and just apparel in general, people who are playing sports overall, you have to interact with so many different people. You travel so much, sports unites people. So they're a company by default that has to be more diverse. Then when you think about the leaders of Nike, when you think about the people who just buy it from a lifestyle perspective, they look like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get us right, we are going to take care of you. Because I'm going to buy my 2 Nikes next week.
And
I'm going to be on sneakers.
we're literally saying this in the industry right now, and without saying any names. Like I'm working with and I'm seeing in consulting companies that have now elevated corporate social responsibility to the top of their priority list.
Yeah,
they're starting to see that. But they're starting to see that with the millennial trends, and I don't know what the trends for minorities or black people are, but millennials will support an organization that, like Jeff said, or you and Jeff were saying, stands for something and is will speak up when it comes to injustices.
We're socially conscious consumers.
And I have seen companies spend so much more
That's
money on just corporate social responsibility than I would have imagined versus like tech implementation.
Because it's
a driver. It's a driver. And it takes one instance of Twitter or something to devalue a whole brand. Like,
it takes one influencer to just devalue a brand. Like it can take anything to like really like set a brand apart.
And you know how we do, because we'll just turn that shit into a joke. Mm-hmm. And once we start capping or we start like
once
roasting,
we start making jokes about some shit,
Instagram, Sephora, Starbucks, Gucci, like it takes one hashtag. It takes one.
Hey, you can be on the good side of a meme or you can be on the bad. If you're on the bad, we're gonna be
who drives that though on Twitter?
Black Twitter.
It's us.
Hello. Hi. We'll talk about it in a different episode. The power of Black Twitter. Black Panther. I got some things to talk about with y'all.
Corporations, take your bets. Do not upset. Like know what industry you're playing in. So if it's an industry where we over-index, like a Nike, and we can relate this back to black startups. If you're playing in an industry where the consumers really take pride and are socially conscious consumers,
does this play into micro influence by chance?
Heck yeah, it does. It does, absolutely. Right, like because like granted, I don't have 1 million followers, but I know like it's my shooter's gonna shoot. So if my shooters, if they see my shooter, right? Because like here's the thing, like hey, what did they say on Soul Food? Look, what she said, these 5 figures, whatever, can strike one mighty blow. Like look, like it's like me as a micro influencer, you know, and then all of our friends across the nation, we might average 1,000 followers, but together we might have 1 million.
Yeah.
And if all of us are on one accord saying the same thing, and all of our people are engaging with us, 100 comments on our post versus 10 because we got 1,000, we have 1 million followers, but only like 10 likes or 1,000 likes. Like, come on now. Mm-hmm. Like, but us, we might have more. 30% of our audience. So we're highly engaged. So when we say things and we say it in our micro levels, in our micro communities, and we come together and have a united voice, we can make and strike a mighty blow. So that's why it's so important for people to understand what that is. That's a unity piece. That's something unique to our culture.
But so okay, how can companies who don't have this like outlet or this insight to what it means to be culturally aware, right? Hold on, let me ask you a question. how can like a company who doesn't have this like form a cultural partnership, I guess you could say, to kind of like create a competitive advantage in a market that they don't have an advantage in right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
but so here's my thing, like a lot of times, like if you're not in a, you gotta evaluate your audience and your product in general. Because if you're if you know if it's an industry or if it's in an aisle in a grocery shop or whatever where we're not there, then you can literally turn a blind eye. But if you are, then you need to pay attention. You have to bring it to the table. Like if we over-index on it, it's like movies. Netflix is a great example of that. Netflix has to. You better have black writers. We made Netflix and chill. You think Netflix and chill in general did not turn Netflix up? I'm telling you right now, Netflix used to have some trash content. Out of nowhere.
Remember when Netflix used to like send you the DVDs in the mail?
Yeah, because they were trying to be Redbox. They were trying to be a convenient Redbox. Now all of a sudden, look what it manifested into. That's because of us. We over-index on like watching stuff and streaming. Like we do that. And now all of a sudden, we got black writers, we got black producers, you got Ava signing stuff. That's why, because Netflix saw that our audience, like that we're more in tune. So what did they do? They, to your question, they said, all right, cool. I see what we got. Let me hear from them. Right? They started tracking and monitoring the data.
Well, I don't know if that's
go ahead. Go ahead.
My bad. But what I appreciate and what I think Netflix did that was a smart, kind of just a smart business move. To Janae's point, they cut out the middleman. They were mutually beneficial. They said, okay, scrap all that production costs and like all of the what you have to go through to put your movie to market.
Sure.
Black Writers Room, come to me, we'll create a Netflix original. Ava will put your name on it. You're going to eat, your writers are going to eat, your actors are going to eat, Netflix is going to eat, because we're putting this right in front of the audience that you're trying to get to. You don't have to spend no marketing dollars, you don't have to do none of that.
We'll do it for you.
We did exactly.
When black consumers get behind something we're passionate about, if you're on par and you're talking about the things that we care about, and that's what the power, like big brands, good brands, whether they're black, white, whatever, startups, black startups, listen. Figure out what your audience is talking about. What do they care about? How does your product and your messaging align with that? If you do that, you're like Netflix and you're going to win. It's only a matter of time.
All right, last point I want to make. We're about to run out of time.
Good.
Yeah.
Real good.
We can keep going.
I'm
about to say, we damn near shooting a part 1 and a part 2. The last thing about Jay-Z that I wanted to hit on too is, and I think this is applicable to everybody, whether you are a black tech startup, a black business, a nonprofit, whatever it is, he bet on himself with that Ace of Spades deal.
He invested in early.
He invested in Ace of Spades before we even knew what that was. Before it was even called Ace of Spades.
Right.
And he invested in it. And then what did he do? He used his influence and he used his network and he used his power to start putting this in music videos, to start shouting it out and using his platform to grow awareness and to make it into an aspirational product that we want to buy, that he has all over the 40/40 Club everywhere. So he bet on himself. He kind of, I wouldn't say take an L because he didn't lose money, but he kind of invested early and then he did the legwork to grow it and to grow those partnerships.
Right. And with that though, like, to our audience that's like watching this, our people, our kinfolk, like, we get it. Like Jay-Z, by then he had already flipped right?
Yeah.
So he's got money to blow, right?
He has money to blow.
So I just want us to be mindful that where we are right now, we have ideas, we have plans, we have businesses that we also can make those similar. We can take the fabric, we can take the backbone behind the strategy behind what Jay-Z was doing at that high level and incorporate that on the local level to do the same thing, right? So number one, listen, So when you think about like just engaging with your audience, if you have an apparel company, if you are about to like develop an app, right, or whatever you're trying to accomplish right now, the key thing that Jay-Z did was, or that a Netflix does, like they pay attention to what their audience and their target audience.
She throw me off. Keep reaching for your glass.
Yeah.
All right, my bad. Didn't mean to break your flow.
We're good with family, right? This is a family, so I'll go off on her when we later. And I'm just playing. She got a poop already got to. But what they done really is that they were in tune with what their target audience. So they identified the target audience, and then they were in tune with their target audience. What they were saying, what was the lens, what was the lifestyle that they were living, and they mapped their product and the messaging behind that into that specific service offering. You can do that whether you have 100 million followers or 10 followers, whether you're selling, music, apparel, or just a new accessory. You can do that. But you have to be open-minded because whatever your vision is for your product or your brand, your consumers, they may see that in a different lens. And you have to be flexible with respect to how you see it. Your
Be
end goal.
stubborn about your goals, but flexible about your methods.
Woo! Come on! I never heard that before.
That's a concept.
You're so up.
That's a concept.
Yeah, that's my favorite quote. It's
said
a guy. It's a guy who said that. I'll let you guys know who
I
said
don't know
that.
too.
But I'm
You
who
say
found
it.
that?
I like that.
Yeah,
That's about to be on my Instagram caption.
I'll be
But
posting
I think
that.
we can go on all day about this. I think you ready to start playing some
He's
Beyonce?
ready to
You
play
ready?
Beyonce. Oh, it's happening.
What is happening?
Jeff summed it up for us pretty well. We got so much more, guys. We have a whole guide coming out, so you guys can follow up with the information that we've talked
Download the
about
guide.
today. Please follow us on capculturepod.com. Whoa.
Yeah.
Come on, tequila!
Cap
Come
Culture
on, give up.
Pod. We have our website, which is capculturepod.com.
Break it down for him.
Individually, I'm Preach Sis. This is.
That gotta be Mills.
And this is.
Jeff.dreams. I tried to keep it simple.
You know, we try.
Yeah.
We do what we can.
My name is Jeff and I got dreams.
Thank y'all so much for everything. Thank y'all for tuning in.
And we're gonna rock out. I know we rambling, but we're gonna rock out to the
Turn it up. Move ever.